Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast, the nerdy podcast hosted by two northern nerds. I'm one of your hosts, Sam.
I'm the other host, Paul. How are you today, Sam?
I'm good. I don't know why our computer just told us that the recording was going on. This meeting.
Yeah, it kind of threw me a little bit there.
A little bit, me too. Hey everyone. This week's episode is we're going to just, because you've announced it on the Facebook group, so I might as well just say it straight away. So our top 5, you picked it.
Top 5 comic book films not included in the Marvel Universe, the MCU.
Which was
started basically back with Iron Man and would have been up to date with Black Widow if it fucking got released.
Honestly, will you stop bringing that up? It's just,
I do it just to wind you up now.
It's a dagger to the heart every time.
Very true, very true. Well, hopefully, like say in a few weeks, we can actually talk about actually seeing the film, so that's always a good thing.
I know that'll be fun. Black Widow review, boom, boom. It's going to be, I'm going to have streamers. I'm going to have a party going on.
Yes, and yeah, I'm actually looking forward to going to the pictures next week as well. So me and Nick's planning on going next Friday. Not to say it'll be an awful film, the new Saw film.
Who cares? Oh no, who cares? Who cares? Hug the seats.
Yes. So we're gonna have a trip to the cinema. So we're excited for that.
Oh, I'm pleased for you, mate. I'm there. I don't know when I'll be going next. Probably when I can. I'd just say to Carolyn one Friday, let's go to the pictures. Let's just do it. Who cares what it is? I don't care anymore. Right.
I want to mention as well, we've had a bit of a milestone this week with the Facebook group, which is absolutely amazing. We've reached over 1,000 members, and it's still growing, which I never thought in a million years would even get close to that number. So it's meant a lot to us this week. So thank you, everyone that's joined.
Oh, it's brilliant. Thank you, everyone. It's been... I was checking my Instagram earlier today to see when this all started, and it was the beginning of January. This is that's when you put out there about a herb, and then it started kicking off in about February.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we're what now in May?
And it's still going. People are not sick of us, so that's always a good sign.
I know, we can't thank you enough. It's unreal, absolutely unreal. And the fact that when I saw the number change, I was like, oh my god.
Yes, and it's bringing everyone together as well. Like I say, there's a lot of people from different types of backgrounds as well that join in the fun, which, like I say, is strange, but no, I never thought it would get to this stage. I thought it would be just me and my few mates saying this film's shit, this film's good. It's turned into a little bit more than that, which is always a bit special. It's
just evolved into something that's amazing and fun, and I think something that's been lacking for a long time in the Northeast, and that actually lovely brings me into a new segment that I want to do on the show. Each week, I would just want to promote nerdy businesses and sellers, any Etsy sellers, eBay sellers, anyone like that from the Northeast. And if it picks up, I want to, across the UK. But I just think as a nerd myself, buying wares, whether it be clothes, figures, anything associated with what I love, it's hard. It's really hard. Like you've got to go to eBay for the obscure, or like websites that cost like a fortune. Or in America, and shipping costs and stuff like that. So I think it's nice that if I just want to promote what we have so people know. And each week I'm just going to do a business, and then and if anyone wants their stuff promoting, I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to start just the first week with I'm not going to say this right, Geek Retreat, Sunderland.
Right.
Located on John Street in Sunderland. It's a really new business. It only opened up within the last few weeks.
I think it opened a month ago, I believe, but like I say, we were able to open the doors when the lockdown restrictions were lifted.
Right.
So I popped in myself when it first opened. It's a huge space. That's the first thing I noticed. I know they're still building stuff in there. Like I say, I've been the one in Newcastle where they've had like a lot of card gaming, like Pokemon stuff. Might not be for me, but they do have like things like Funko Pops and comics as well. So that's one thing that I think Sunman's lacked for a long time, is somewhere you can actually buy comics. which
Definitely. My
sounds
husband,
strange. Last time I was able to buy comics in Sunderland was when we had W.H. Smith open.
wow, well, my husband can remember a very small shop in Sunderland next to the Sunderland Empire that used to be a comic book shop because his dad used to take him there all the time. Ant got into comics when he was about 7, 8 year old, after he'd been to America, and I think he got his first issue of X-Men.
Right.
And his dad used to take him down to the one in Sunderland, and he says once that closed down, he had nowhere.
Limited.
Like nowhere local. It's been there's nothing here in Sunderland, or there wasn't, sorry, in here in Sunderland until very recently that would even cater for us nerds.
Yeah.
I haven't been down, and it is simply just because work commitments, or I would have been down in a heartbeat. I actually have their statement that's from their Facebook page. That says, we are on a mission to share our love for all things geeky, from games and superhero movies to anime and sci-fi. Geek Retreat is the friendliest place to meet, eat, trade, and game. Vibrant venues, comfort eats, non-stop sunny service, and shakes. And I have seen some of the pictures online, and it just looks like a lot of fun. I'm devastated I won't be able to try their milkshakes. I am very fond of a milkshake, but I'm vegan, so I can't drink them.
You never know, they might cater for like the vegan side. I nearly said something that'll get me in trouble there, but I'll keep it. No. I'm playing nice this week, so don't worry.
So that's it. I just wanted to just do each week, just do a promotion of a business. So if you are a seller or a business and you want to get in touch, find us on Facebook, or you can contact us directly through my Instagram, which is it's Sammy Fett 13, Fett as in Boba Fett.
And if you want to email me, mine's paul@nerdyupnorth.co.uk. Also, again, a little bit of a nerdy shout out as well. One of the managers of Harry's Gaming Shack put a post on the Facebook group this week. Like I say, if you book online with them when they open up on Monday, if you use the code NerdyUp, you do get 20% off your online bookings as well, and that's through the Facebook page as well.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's brilliant. There we go. So are we ready? Are we ready?
Yes.
Ready?
So we'll make a starting, because like I say, there's no news this week because football's happened, to be put nicely. Yeah. Nothing that I've read about. I know, see, I don't know if you've heard anything, but no.
Not a thing. Not a thing. So I'm just ready to dive into this because I think it's going to be a really good discussion, because it was a hard one. Yes. You made this hard.
I think, like I say, with us now, we are not just thinking about, like, we're taking out all the elements into consideration. We're thinking about what each other would like.
That's right. And
why it means so much to you as well. So I think we're going to make it a lot more difficult going forward as well.
Oh, believe you me, I have one set up for next week, and I don't think you're going to like it. So just warning you. But this week is top 5 comic movies that are not in the MCU. Now, I'm actually, do you know what? As much as I said it's hard, yeah, it was. But if you asked us on the spot what my top 5 Marvel films were, I'd find that hard too.
Yeah. I've thought about it as well. Like I say, when you think about the MCU as well, when I've thought about the top 5, not many of that sounds strange, not many of the MCU would probably make, well, it would be easier to pick from the top 5 MCU than it would be the others. Like things like Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, even though it's not the greatest film, the original Iron Man, because it set it off.
I love the original Iron Man
as well. Like them are the ones that still stick out just off the top.
Iron Man is definitely in my top. The next slots, I would really have to think about it, but Iron Man is a definite. Not just because it started off, it's just a really good origin story. And Marvel have taken that recipe of how good it was and put it in other ones that kind of work. Like Ant-Man and Iron Man are very similar in their storytelling, but it works.
Yeah. Well, there's always been missteps for Marvel as well. Like I say, I think Captain America, the First Avenger as well, had a great origin story, but after that was terrible. Like say
I beg your pardon.
the origin was great, but other than that,
Mm.
it felt flat. It didn't, like say, Steve didn't feel like he had any real enemies. He would go into war by himself and take on an army without. It just didn't feel like there was going to be much threat all the way through the film. But anyway, that's another.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one, but that is a completely different list. Let's start. Do you want to kick it off because this was your pick?
Yes. So trying to think of which one to go with first. I'll go with this one because even though it is a Marvel film, it's not part of the MCU, and it's one that when I watched, it did affect us emotionally. And like say, I did actually say I cried at this film, and it was Logan.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I say, I love the X-Men films. I love the comics. I love the cartoons. Like I say, one of my favorite comics was Old Man Logan, and this was a retelling of the story. And seeing the pain and the suffering in this film, wow! It like I say, there was parts in it that just broke you, and especially like saying the character at the end. Spoiler alert: when he dies, because you never thought you would ever see Wolverine die, and I know he has died in the comics and stuff like that. To see him go the way he did.
Is he still not dead? I'm sure he died a couple of years ago, and I don't think, I could be wrong. I'm only just getting back into Marvel titles at the minute.
I think they brought him back about 3 or 4 years ago.
Because I know they did all new, all different.
The Hunt for Wolverine or something like that.
Ah, right, because they did the all new, all different Marvel, and they brought out X-23, Laura Kinney as the new Wolverine with the yellow suit. She looked fantastic.
Yeah.
The run was really well received, but after all new, all different Marvel, I kind of dropped off a bit. It was getting to the point where it was just a new
take on each week. Yeah,
yeah.
That's like say, I think me and Sean went to Food and Planet last week to have a look at the comics and stuff, and there was about 4 different versions of Spider-Man on the shelves as well. I was like,
it's hard. It's really hard. I really enjoyed Logan, and I didn't put it on my list because I haven't done any Marvel films, anything to do with Marvel. But Old Man Logan was the first comic book I ever read.
Yeah.
But I have problems with the film.
Right. Yeah, because you were a big fan of it. This is because they take liberties and stuff like that.
It's not that they just took what really got us, which shocks us more than anything, is the swearing.
Right. Okay.
So I'm fine with it being R-rated, and I'm fine with swearing. And swearing to me is not an issue. It never has been since I've been grown up. If it fits within the context of how you talk, and then I don't see it being a massive problem. What I don't like is Professor X.
Right.
Swearing for absolutely no reason. That F-bombs that he used didn't need to be in there, and it doesn't work with him. And now I get it that it's a withered Professor X, and
where his powers are just overtaken him.
Some shit's gone down. I totally get it, but there is a few times in that film where he drops an F-bomb and it's not needed, that is literally the only gripe I have, because everything else is it's beautifully done.
Like I say, really actors in it as well. Like the big standout for me, which was a big surprise, was Stephen Merchant's Caliban.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. And even though he had kind of the looks of Stephen Merchant, he was like a standout performer as well.
Yeah.
And the little girl who played X-23, like I say, she had like a bit of a like a wilding type of look to her. Like say,
she was almost what's the word? Feral. She was like a feral like kind of look to her.
But the broken down scene, like seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and seeing him struggling just to get on with day-to-day life, and like say being a limo driver when they start in that fight scene and they start messing up the car, and he's like worried about money and stuff like that. It's bringing real life problems to like mutant kind and stuff.
Yeah, that was a big one. The story was fantastic. I knew fine well you can't do the Old Man Logan comic book. You can't. No, it's too much.
Seeing the Hulk in it, like as that character in the way he played in the comic as well, would have been.
Yeah, and all the like the fact that the whole United States, like the world is like split up into 3 sections. You've got Red Skull, Doom, and you've got the Hulks,
Yeah.
And you've got Hawkeye, who's a dickhead, um, and who's like one of his best buds at the same time. And you can't do that story. And I totally got it. And I'm not one of these who was like, well, you can't use the title. If you're not going to do the story, you can't use the title.
Yeah.
Because the title fit
Mm-hmm.
the story that we're telling there. I do get the difference between comic side and the movie side. You have to.
I can still remember the excitement I got when I think it was announced that they were doing the title, because I think Hugh Jackman just put on Instagram, or was it Twitter, the title, like not Logan, he just put a picture up saying Old Man Logan, and it just exploded at the time. I was like, yes, this is, because like say a lot of the X-Men films, it goes up and down in quality. There's a lot of them bad compared to what they're good. Like say, I liked X-Men 1, I loved X-Men 2. We'll not talk about the next one because that was absolutely dog shit.
Ant's the same. Ant loves X-Men 2. He says it's probably one of the best comic book films ever.
It's basically where you see him go into berserker mode and actually see him be Wolverine in that one as well. And the same with Logan. You see him kicking off. But then they've done the kind of soft reboot as well when they've done like the First Class and Days of Future Past. Again, them two films I absolutely loved. Because I was a huge Days of Future. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, sorry, it was my fault. Go on.
I was saying I was such a huge fan of Days of Future Past as the comic. For a small portion of time, I actually owned the original comic as well, which went up in price, and I sold it for a tidy profit, which I shouldn't really be saying. But I can still remember it, like the cover with all the different X-Men with the X's through it and stuff like that. It was it was done so well, and when they brought the Sentinels in, but then afterwards the kind of just phoning it in, like we say, well, Apocalypse and Phoenix. I know there was a lot of problems with the studio, with Marvel getting taken over by Disney and stuff like that.
That's it. That's what happens. They had so much potential. First Class is phenomenal. Like, what a way to start the X-Men off. And you could have even took that into the MCU.
Yeah.
You could have 100%. Quite easily took that into the MCU. Day of the Future Past, it's not bad, but it's all right. It's not great, but it's all right. Then it moves on. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was awful.
But if you look at the cast they have had through the years in the X-Men films, you expect more than what they got.
Definitely.
But yes,
I think you've got a solid.
It's probably my all-time favorite X-Men film, even though, like I say, I've got fond memories of, like I say, the other X-Men films. Like I went on my first date, shall we say, to see one of the X-Men films at Bolden Cinema when I think I was about 16, 15-year-old.
Oh, my first date with Ant was Spider-Man 3.
Oh, emo Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 3 and then the Ivy House. It was a good day.
Still see Tobey Maguire dancing up the street.
Gotcha. Logan's a good choice. That's a solid start. Yes. I like that. Cool. And not a lot that I haven't seen it brought up a lot on the Facebook post that you put up. Not a lot of people put it up. I saw a couple, but not a lot.
Yeah, I think one of them with the X-Men films. When you mention X-Men films, it's been tainted because of all the things that has happened, and like say the little things that come out from behind the scenes of the X-Men films, which again wasn't always a positive experience for the actors and stuff. And a lot of people have fond memories of other characters which haven't been done justice yet. Definitely. Fingers crossed, like I say, they'll get the time to shine in the MCU.
My fingers are crossed. My fingers are definitely crossed for that, because I'm not a massive X-Men fan. No, never. I quite honestly, apart from Old Man Logan and a couple of side things, I've read a few Emma Frost books and stuff, but I've never really delved into the X-Men in the comics, so I did not add any of everything that I've got on here. I've read, and that's how I played it, because if I didn't, I think I could have just talked bullshit throughout the whole of this list. You ready for mine?
Cool, go for it.
Right, I'm going to start with this one. This was my last pick. This was the one that I struggled with, so I'm going to go with it first.
Cool.
It's from 2005.
Right.
All of mine, by the way, are in the early 2000s.
Go bother.
This is 2005. It's part of a trilogy.
Okay.
It's Batman Begins.
Cool. Very good.
I absolutely adore this film so much. I don't like the trilogy very much, but I absolutely adore this film. It was the Batman you needed at the time.
They made Batman feel real, which I think for a
Yes.
lot of the times is a struggle with, like say, a man dressing as a giant bat to terrorize criminals is a hard thing to do. But the Chris Nolan Batmans, you always felt it's like that could happen in the real world, and I think a lot of it was based around that.
Exactly. I'm not saying Christian Bale is my Batman by any stretch, but I just like, it was such a breath of fresh air to watch a Batman film that wasn't just a fucking joke anymore, because by that point it got to the fact where it was a joke character, and he's not by any stretch at all. I loved Liam Neeson in this film. I thought he was perfect as Roz. I even love Cillian Murphy. I'm sorry if I'm not saying his name right. But what a scarecrow! That man them eyes are truly terrifying. If you've ever seen Red Eye,
yes.
Oh my god, he's so creepy.
It's intense as out. That film. No, I agree. Like say, taking Batman back to basics as well.
Stripping it down.
I think we had a discussion in the Facebook group, like when they said who was your favourite Batmans, and my opinion was Michael Keaton will always be the best Bruce Wayne, but Christian Bale was the best Batman, because even though putting aside his voice, you felt that, like say if you're in a fight, he would kick the shit out of you.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
He would never back down, type thing. But
I totally get that.
Sorry.
Oh no, go on.
The whole story of Batman Begins as well. Like say it was fun, like seeing him how he got to be Batman, like the training methods and stuff.
That's it.
Was always quite interesting.
Exactly, because you know half the reason of why he becomes Batman. You know, his mum and dad get shot. It absolutely F's him up. He's terrified of bats. You know, you know the basics. But how did Batman get as hard as how he got? That was a massive question, and one that was never answered until Batman Begins. And I just loved how they stripped it all back and showed you how he got like that, because he wasn't like Bruce Wayne should just be a wee little guy, like because he's so privileged. He wouldn't really have to do a lot for himself. But in this, it showed. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the story was great. I only added, now as much as I put the Dark Knight trilogy on my list, and I'm not a fan of the second one. And it is like, I don't get us wrong, Heath Ledger was fantastic. And I remember watching Batman Begins with Ant, and bearing in mind Ant had already seen this. Me and Ant started seeing each other in 2007. Yeah, so he'd already seen this and was introducing it to me, and he was still buzzing at the end when the Joker card gets pulled out. And then when we heard Heath Ledger was playing it, we were like, okay. And I don't mind that. I don't mind what he did. It just, I don't know, and I don't want to upset anyone by saying this, but I think a lot was hyped up because of the fact that he died shortly afterwards. I don't know if he would have ever gotten an Oscar if he hadn't have passed away. Like, even after that, I generally don't believe that he would have. It's just, I don't particularly like that film, and I really don't like the third one.
That's fine. Everyone's got the different opinions on, like, say, why things mean stuff to them. Say, I know there was panic when Batman Begins actually came out, because it didn't actually do as well on the box office when it originally came out, because they were expecting it to be like old school Batman money type thing, but it didn't quite do that way.
Yeah.
But I think it found its home on DVD and like on the home release as well more. That's when it started gathering traction. But to use villains as well that we've not seen in films like Ra's al Ghul, and as you said, the Scarecrow was done. I know people hate on Katie Holmes. I didn't think she was that bad as Rachel.
Oh, good God, no, she wasn't.
And one of my favourite scenes in the whole thing is when Bruce Wayne takes the gun to the courthouse, and she gets really mad and starts hitting him and kicks him out of the car. I thought that was quite good, and like say having the whole Falcone aspect to it, like say, brought more home to the comics as well. Because I know, like Chris Nolan used a lot of different references for a lot of the comics, but to me, that one, even though the story's completely different, it did have a lot of feels of, like say, the last Halloween, the Long Halloween. Sorry,
the long one. Yeah, I've not read it. I do have it. I've just not read it. Batman is something that I pick up slowly. I've only just recently read Hush.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Do you know what? This is what gets me. He's not the first person I'll go to read for reading material, but when I get there, Jesus Christ, they are so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like the story was fantastic. I could not put that down until I was finished.
Yeah. Another, like say, if you haven't read The Long Halloween, I would recommend reading it before the next Batman film with Robert Pattinson, because I believe it is very heavily influenced on that comic.
Interesting.
It's got a lot of characters, and like I said, that is probably one of my go-to Batman comics is The Long Halloween.
I still love The Dark Knight. We have about 3 copies of that now. Don't know why. I think because I keep forgetting I've got it.
Yeah.
So I go and buy it again.
In Granger Market in Newcastle, there's a comic book store, and I'm sure not too long ago they had the original Dark Knight Returns comics, like because there was a 4-parter, but the price they were asking, I couldn't justify paying it at that time. I think it was about £200 or something. It goes up and down in price for the 4 of them. But yeah,
I'm good. Jesus Christ, comics go for a lot of money.
Definitely, like say a lot of things. Like say, my Spider-Man 300 went for a lot more than I paid for it, shall we say? The first appearance of Venom, but well, not officially the first appearance, first use of Venom, but yes.
Wow. Right. So yeah, that's my number 1 pick is Batman Begins. What's your number 2?
Right. So you've just pretty much made us move on to the second one, which is The Dark Knight. There was a reason why I was very quiet when you mentioned it.
I wondered why. I was like, oh my God, have I really upset him?
No, I just didn't. I didn't want to say divulge too much, because I think this one is a bit Marmite for a lot of people, because it is very much a comic book film, as I would say. Like say the villain in it, the Joker. I know, as you said with Heath Ledger, to me that was the Joker I've read in the comics. Just like he said it himself, the best is he's an agent of chaos. He's got no interest in monetary values, no interest in power. He's brought about because he's like the yin to the Batman's yang, where he's like solar opposites.
Wow, when you put it like that, I totally get it. What I go to for my Joker is the one from Killing Joke, and Killing Joke is the second comic book I ever read. When I finished Old Man Logan, I moved on to Killing Joke. That copy that I have, I've had, oh my God, I think it's ants, and I literally will not have it damaged in any way. Because it's that special. Like Alan Moore is one of my favorite writers, and Grant Morrison completely turned me around into looking into that comic differently. But that's the Joker that I'm looking for, is the one from that. And I personally don't think I've found him.
No.
But the way that you've just described that, I get it. I do get it, and don't get it. I'm like, I'm probably going to backtrack on myself a little because I don't want to upset anyone.
No, it's fine. Like say, it's like what you interpret and what you get from it. Like say, I can understand why you're saying you don't think he would have won the Oscar if he didn't have his untimely passing, which again, I can understand. There's elements of The Dark Knight that I love. There's elements I think could have been better. Like say, when you look at the cast as well, going back to Batman Begin, the cast as well, like say Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, like say.
How could I even forget bringing up Gary Oldman? Like, what an amazing choice for Commissioner Gordon.
And like say, I would be happy just getting a Commissioner Gordon film just with Gary Oldman. To be honest, I would pay money to say that. But and like say Morgan Freeman as Lucas Fox and stuff like that. The only thing that did take me out of it a little bit was the whole super machine that could read every like cell phone and stuff that Batman used to track down the Joker. That was a bit like I said, I didn't really understand it. So again, like I said, I couldn't understand it. It kind of fell on deaf ears, and I thought, and Two-Face was a little bit wasted to be killed off the way he was, which I can understand why he did it.
I loved Harvey Dent up until a point, and that point ended when he became Two-Faced.
Yeah,
Two-Faced. It just it's almost like he went out of his way to be villainous. Like, oh well,
he started going back to like Adam West style camp.
Yes, definitely. And I didn't buy it. It wasn't like a natural progression on him, which is what I would expect from Two-Face. It just felt kind of forced. Like, oh well, I'm just getting half my face blown off. I'm gonna be a bad guy now.
Yeah, if they showed him to have a little bit of a ruthless or like a dark side throughout, then yes. But
totally. But he wasn't. He really
he was whiter
wasn't.
than white. Because I know they wanted to like say the White Knights, like the whole, like say the hero that Gotham deserves, and like say stuff like that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actual Dark Knight, I can understand what they were playing at.
Yeah.
But to me, the bits in it that worked, fucking hell did they work. They made the suit usable for the first time, where he can move his neck, and they made a joke about that as well, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And the pencil scene as well, that was absolutely unbelievable. Like I say, when he did the Joker, first introduced Joker to the whole crime mobs and stuff, and he just says, "Oh, I want to see a magic trick," boom, and that bit was just absolutely played out. And I remember seeing this for the first time because it was a time when I was like down Manchester for a lot, so I went to see the big screen in the Printworks in Manchester,
nice.
which was like I say an experience in itself. But for me as well, why this one stands out more the other one, the whole marketing campaign before, because it didn't just say, "Oh, here's the trailer."
Yeah,
it led you clues, and there was a big group of us as well. I know there was a website called Superhero Hype, the forum. We used to post in there and like pick up the clues and send, like, say this is what we found out, and you had to work out the encryption. And when the trailer originally came out, it was Jokerized, so it had Batman's like Batman's face had like a smiley face and ha-has around him and stuff like that. It was one when it was unlocked before it was actually released, I believe. Again, I could be, like I say, it could have come out afterwards, but I remember that being the first thing I saw. But I absolutely, like I say, to me, as you said, when you see a Batman film, it felt real. And this one was, like I said, and the whole opening bank robbery scene, it reminded us so much of Heat as well. I'd like to say that with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino hit the film, the heist, it felt like, say, like intense and real.
It's just not one I would go back to. I'll never watch. What's the third one called?
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh my god!
I know, but you don't like Tom Hardy, so.
It's so draining.
You're going to get you.
Me and Anth always go, you know how to shoot a man.
Yes.
It's so bad. That pain is terrible. But I'm gonna, in one defense, I wouldn't class it as a defense, but my only thing with Bane was the games. So I've never read a book that had Bane in it. I don't have a lot of reference to it.
The Baton type thing, Nightfall.
No, I mean, I've seen the panel. I think everyone's seen the panel. But I haven't read anything that has Bane in it. My reference is the games, and that just wasn't it for me. And the voice, I mean, good God.
I know they went for colonial, but like in the comics, he was a Puerto Rican, I believe. Again, if I'm wrong, I call us out on it, but I'm sure he was Puerto Rican. Like he was born in a Puerto Rican jail, and that's like because he went like the whole Breaking the Bat storyline. He basically got every single villain out of jail to wear Batman down, and when Batman was at his lowest, that's when he broke him.
And then that was,
Verity took over as Batman for a while, and
well, this
that
was
went
this
weird.
was at a time. This was at a time when Image Comics was coming out.
Yeah.
When the Image Revolution happened, you know, they're the guys who broke Batman's back. They had to, you know, DC had to go to that level because at the time Image was rising to a level that was taking over the two big names in comic books. If you ever have a chance, I think it's on Prime, and watch Image Revolution documentary. It's so good.
All right.
But they are responsible for the fact that Batman got his back broke because they had to pull the stops out. Had to. They got these guys in figures like it's crazy that they were living like rock star lifestyles as comic book writers. Watch it. It is brilliant.
Sex, drugs, and ink.
Exactly. Like Todd McFarlane is so passionate in this film, like in this documentary. Rob Liefeld does the best Todd McFarlane impression ever. But yeah, it's a good watch. But they explain, like, you know, the reason why Batman gets his back broken in the first place is due to them. I never read the book. I'm not like I say, I don't go out my way to read Batman, and I don't understand why I don't, because the stories are fantastic.
Yeah. There's not, like I say, now, and I could be contradicting myself, now there is a bit more of a, like I say, a female perspective, but it was very, like I say,
definitely.
different
No,
things,
I totally
like
agree.
Say, Catwoman, like Poison Ivy back in the day wasn't, shall we say, very, like say, supportive towards the females.
No, definitely. I totally get what you're saying. It was very much a boys' comic. And it's only been in the last few years that it is starting to like, and I think that's like, and you know, you can disagree with us, and I'm fine with that, but I do put that down to Harley.
Yep, like
and the rise of Harley
big
Quinn
thing towards the comics. I think a lot of females did start gravitating towards Harley. Because I know originally she never actually made a debut in a comic first. It was in the Batman.
Yeah, she was in the Batman animated series. I've got them all on DVD. I love them. But we shouldn't be gravitating towards Harley in any stretch. If you really like look into the backstory of Harley, she's a very broken person who is in a very domestic, violent relationship. But there's just something so endearing about her, and she always tries, as much as she goes back to him, she still always has a little bit in her where she can go a little bit at her, and she can be on her own. And I think that's been done perfectly with the Harley Quinn animated show, like with Kaylee Cuoco in it.
Yes.
She left him, and she left him for good. And she found a new friend, and I love her and Ivy's like relationship, and I even read it in the comics.
In the Batman universe, Harley was the first interesting female character that was brought in, if that makes sense. Because I know Batwoman was quite one-dimensional. Catwoman, again, had her moments, but like I say, I think she opened the door for a lot more like different aspects to come in.
I totally agree, 100% agree with that. Barbara Gordon is one of my favorite characters, and it comes from the New 52 Gail Simone run of Barbara Gordon, and she's not Oracle, and I don't know why I did not like the Oracle story at all. Barbara just does me tits in when she's that. But when she's Batgirl, and how Gail Simone wrote her was just perfect. It's a story about getting out of she's fucking terrified of the Joker, and she's terrified of what will happen to her again, and it's getting out of that mindset, dealing with her family life, like outside being Barbara Gordon while dealing with her nighttime job. And it's such a good, if you ever have the chance to read it, it is fantastic. There is a part in there where Gail got fired. She got sacked from the job and someone else took over, and I swear to God, if I was reading that week by week, and that, because that new writer was awful, absolutely horrible, and the tone changed totally. If I didn't know that Gail was coming back on a few more issues, I wouldn't have bothered. No. It was so good. I totally went off topic with Barbara there. Sorry. I love Barbara Gordon so much.
That's fine. It's fine. It's like, why we do this, shall we say?
That is true. That is true.
See, we don't get to talk to many people about these type of things, so it's nice to talk to each other.
Because my husband's just sick of hearing it now. He's like, you just go and tell Paul.
I'm glad I can be that support. Don't worry.
Are you ready to move on?
Yep, go for it.
Right. Let's go with well, let's stick with. It's not the same. They're not in the same theme, but it is the same writer. Frank Miller, 2005. Robert Rodriguez's Sin City.
Ooh.
I fucking love not just this film, I fucking love the comics. And bought me them for my birthday. Oh my god, years ago. They are. It is so different.
Yes.
Like it was probably the first. Like there's a one on here on my list that I'm going to leave to last because it is my all-time favorite. And if I don't cry while I talk about it, that'll be a testament to me.
Yeah.
But it is one of the first things that I read outside of. It was like even before I like read image titles. And it was just so different and it's dark, like so dark.
It's like say when they're like hiding the child murder and pedophilia and stuff like that in comics. Like the Yellow Bastard and stuff like that was.
Yep, and in the fact that he was played by Elijah Wood, like that was incredible. But the standout for me will always be the return of Mickey Rourke, because this is his return film to Hollywood, and Marv is one of my favorite characters. Like the guy is stuck in the wrong time. Like he was meant to be in the 20s. He's not meant to be in modern times. I have a Marv bust in my living room. Like I absolutely adore this character because he's
raw, but he's got a heart. It's the right place.
Massive heart. Always has a massive heart. I just love him so much.
Yeah, but like I say, because you said last week, I think in the horror podcast, you love like anthology films, and
this one's like in that.
Yeah, this was the perfect one done. Like say, film wise, I don't think many films visually try to make themselves look like a comic book, and this was proud of being a comic book film. And even some of the things on screen were panels of the actual Frank Miller comics. Like say, I had the original. I didn't get the original one. Sorry, I got the trade backs, the thick papers.
I've got them ones.
Later on, when they first came out, like I say, the stories in it that they've used. Like I say, the Yellow Bastard. Was it a hard kill, or was it
hard kill? I had them down because I knew I'd forget the names, and I didn't want. I was essentially going to bring all the books in because every single one I've got on here, I have the books for.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring them all in, and I was like, I cannot be bothered to sit. And what's it called? It is. Hang on.
Because funny enough, you're saying that I actually did pick up Sin City yesterday on Steelbook.
Well, I was going to text you. I was going to text you and say, "Are you giving away your list here?" Because all of them that you got are all graphic novels, and I was like, "Are you giving away hints of your list here?"
No. I just like say I went out and bought a few. I traded in a few, like say, my DVDs because I'm trying to get rid of like a lot of clutter, and I'm just getting the steel books.
You just buy them all.
Ones that look prettier, shall we say?
It's a hard goodbye.
Yes, a hard goodbye. That's the one.
Yeah.
That was the Bruce Willis story, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because like I say, that was the one that felt a bit wrong because he was like say in love with the young girl and the Nancy who he rescued as a child and stuff like that. And who was it who played? Because Elijah Wood played the mute killer that killed all the prostitutes. It was Nick Stahl. Nick Stahl played the Yellow Bastard.
Oh my God! Do you know what? Oh, everything I have on this list, I've not watched in years.
Yeah.
So I'm really sorry if I've gotten things wrong, but I generally have not watched them in years.
Yeah.
I thought it was Elijah Wood who played the yellow, but he's not. He's
the mute. Kevin, is it?
Kevin, that's it. Wow, that would have really annoyed us. But the cast of this film is unreal. You've got Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yep.
Clive Josh Hartnett.
Jessica Alba.
Could have done that without Clive Owen. I'm not a fan. Brittany Murphy.
Yep.
Nick Offerman's in it. I didn't know who Nick Offerman was until I started watching Parks and Rec, so you can forgive us for that. And that was only recently. Um, yeah, Elijah Wood is Kevin.
And Nick Stahl was the Yellow Bastard, I believe.
Who's Nick Stahl?
He was he played John Connor, and he was in Disturbing Behaviour as well, I believe.
Wow, he's not actually on the cast list.
Isn't?
No. Oh wow, no, because he's called Roark Jr.
Right. Ah, yes. Because he was like the priest's son type thing, or the mayor's son.
Later known as the Yellow Bastard. Yeah, it's all coming back to us now.
Because I remember after they made that, they done Sin City 2 was announced, but it took a long time for it was released, and that was a little bit of a letdown. It just felt like a carbon copy.
I've not seen it. I don't think I would have enjoyed it. And I generally think that it might have put a bit of a dampener on the first one. Just I don't ever want to see Marv done in a bad way.
Yeah. And what was because Frank Miller got big, like, because he helped with this film, and he got a bit too big for his boots afterwards. So he tried to do his own spin, like film wise, with Samuel Jackson in as well. What was called The Spirit or something like that. I tried watching that. Like, again, I don't turn off many films, but that was terrible. Was it The Spirit?
I don't know. It sounds familiar. Friends that like obviously Frank's an amazing writer. Like Dark Knight, just it speaks for itself. But what he did with this was just phenomenal. Like so many stories interwoven into one can be a really difficult feat, and he proper. Oh, it's just fantastic. And Robert Rodriguez as well. Like, this isn't this type of film that I would ever put him down for. Like, if you know his back catalogue, it's not. I wouldn't say it's something that he would have got it like to actually do, but he did it so well. Well. Was it called The Spirit?
Yeah, it was called The Spirit. It had Samuel Jackson. When Sean Connery on you there. Samuel Jackson as the main bad guy in it. But again, I don't know too much about the film because I've never watched it. It looked very much like Sin City though, like in the visuals.
Right. I just love the noir part of it, the fact that when they do use colour, it's used right.
In the right moments.
Yeah, and it does have that comic book feel to it. Like there is panels that you'll see that can be done completely in black and white, and the effect that it has on the scene, like it always reminds us. This is probably going really dark, but it really reminds us of Schindler's List. Like the whole film's done in black and white. The only one bit of colour you'll ever see is that little girl's red coat.
Yeah.
That's effective.
No, it's like
and it has the same kind of ring throughout Sin City. Just having a slight bit of color in a noir film can really make the scene more impactful.
Makes it pop, like jumping. Yeah. Like I think with Goldie's hair and standing out, like stuff like that. That was elements that like were done really well. But and like say little spots of blood here and there. Like when Marv got cut up, you saw like cuts on his face with blood, but brilliant.
I did watch Sin City before I read the books, and I would have been. I think
a lot of people did though. That's because, like I say, it wasn't really well known.
No.
It was always bigger in the United States than it was in the UK.
Yeah, and it was like just at the time, like the time of when it came out, just these kind of like movies were not on my radar. It's not something that I would have went out of my way to watch. But yeah, there we go. My number 2 pick is Sin City.
Cool.
What's your number 3?
Howard the Duck. No, I'm only joking. It's not Howard the Duck.
I did tell you that I used to think Howard the Duck was a horror film. Like I never put it down as like being a Marvel character. I generally thought when I was a kid he was a horror character. He scared the shit out of me.
It's a strange film, but no, I wouldn't ever get into any top 5 anything really. But yeah, sorry, I had to throw that one out there. But yes, it's number 3 now, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Oh wow, right, okay, that was what I was tottering between was Hellboy 2 and Hellboy and Batman, and I chose Batman because I could talk about it more because I've read Batman, I've not read Hellboy, but that is a phenomenal film.
I've never read many Hellboy comics, I'll admit myself. I've tried jumping in, but it's not like a type of comic you can jump in. It's got a very linear story to it, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Again, call us out if I'm talking shite. But yes, like I say, I love the original Hellboy. Like I say, I thought it was very dark, very interesting. Like I say, the things that they were talking about. But then when I saw Hellboy 2, that one to me felt like it is a better film. It's interesting. Like Ron Perlman, who plays Big Red, is absolutely made to play Hellboy, even though it probably has caused him so much hell to be in that type of makeup for lengths of time. But
he did not pull that off, mine, didn't he? And I'm sorry, you can't. I'm happy if we, for the rest of our lives, we only ever have them 2 films as Hellboy, because he's just some. I know they brought another one out. I've not seen it because he is Hellboy. Yeah. And you can't replicate that.
Well, stuff like they use, like I say, again, going back to the practical effects, and like it was a mixture of practical and CGI. The practical effects were done so well. The newer one with the guy from Stranger Things,
David Harbour, he's going to be in Black Widow, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, the things, even looking at Hellboy's horns on that film, looked plastic, and it kind of took you out of it because it didn't look real. Like say, even though he done the part well, you were always going to compare him to like Ron Perlman, who
is not his fault. It's just how it's not his fault. It's just how good Ron Perlman looked and played him. Like you can't. Nobody's going to match up to that. It's like the next person going to take on Wolverine. Yeah. The poor bastard's not going to stand a chance because you look at
you've got to compare him to a Hugh Jackman every time.
Look at who you're going up against.
I think elements I liked about this one is because it's a bit more fantasy. I know you're talking about superheroes and stuff and devils, but bringing in like the fantasy world and how the bad guy in it wasn't really kind of like the bad guy. He just wanted to give nature a chance, and he was saying,
and it's one of the Goss brothers. Like, come on, that was
Goss.
Brilliant casting. He looked phenomenal.
Yeah, and like say, everything in it was absolutely beautifully done. Like when you go down, like say, the actual Golden Army part where, like I say, the big standoff, that was brilliant, and the monsters in it were like, I know it's Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo. It takes me forever to say that poor bloke's name. Guillermo del Toro.
Like everything was creepy. Like the whole like monster way tells Salma Blair's character Liz about how if she saves Hellboy's life, it's going to bring forward the end of the world. Like say that was creepy. And that aspect, because I know that when they were talked about after Hellboy 2, he always wanted to do a trilogy, and it says it's not going to happen now. He's actually came out and said it's not something that the studio will let him do, or it's a shame, because I think seeing that aspect would have been, I'd say, really interesting, because I was getting invested in where it was going. But no, I'd say as a comic book film, bringing in the fantasy element as well, I really enjoyed it. And like say, I've watched this so many times and I've never like got bored of it. It always grips us.
The colours in that colours really drive my eye, and the colours in there are absolutely phenomenal. Like how the golds just stand out. Like even like the whiteness of her hair and stuff. It's and like even in his red, like it's just it's beautifully put together. But that is Del Toro. That like he can make it. He can't. Do you know the best thing about him is he's not like some other directors who are really good and really good at cinematography. He's also really good at storytelling and monster creating. Like they all come from his head. Like he's just phenomenal. He has had some misses in the past. Like Crimson Peak was just not for me. Like really not for me. But when he's got it, he's like he really hones in on it. There is an actor in there who I just wish he gets the credit that he fucking deserves. Doug Bradley?
Doug Bradley?
Is it Doug Bradley?
Is it Doug Jones?
Doug Jones. Do you know who I'm getting mixed up with? Never mind. Never mind. I'm going to make myself look like a
You
right
see,
tit
he should
here.
get credit, but you don't give him credit as well.
I can't even get his fucking name right. Oh my god. What?
Doug Jones, yes, he's very...
Doug Jones.
He's like, say, the monster actor. He was Billy from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
And like Pan's Labyrinth and stuff.
He's the
But he was
pale
Abe's
guy.
in this, and yeah, he was absolutely brilliant as Abe.
Right. What did I say his name was? Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley.
Because I'm thinking of Hellraiser. I've got his
Hellraiser.
name.
Ah, right.
I've got his name and that name mixed together.
Yeah.
Wow, what a dickhead.
Don't worry. I'm sure I've fucked up so many times. Don't worry.
The Shape of Water. I've not seen it, but I've heard it's really good.
Well, it's meant to be a modern take on one of your favorite films from last week that you picked, The Creature of the Black Lagoon.
I know, and I get, holy shit! He's in a film that's on my list that I did not know. Okay, that's just, wow, all right. That's just shocked us.
Well, that's what I think. He's a character actor, isn't he? He always plays the monsters.
Yeah.
So he's probably been in like millions of films that we've never even seen, but he's always been in there.
He's a contortionist.
Yeah.
And that's what he was really used for in especially Guillermo del Toro's films, because he can shift and move in that way, but that Pan's Labyrinth character is just that's some scary shit. That absolutely terrifying. Just how he moves, but he is really good. And I wish I'd gotten his name right when I said he deserved credit.
Don't worry, we got there in the end. That's the main thing.
Damn me. But Hellboy is a really good choice, and one that I didn't pick because the way that I did my list was I had to have read it.
Yeah.
And that was just me.
I've owned comics. I've read Hellboy comics, but I don't think, like I say, I'm not too versed in like I say, the back history of it as well. Might be something I will look at too. I know I did look at the original, his first appearance, because it was Next Men, I think it was, not X-Men, Next Men he was in. It was like a side character, but yes, Hellboy 2, that is definitely, see, I would always, if anyone wanted to get into comic book films and stuff like that, that's one of the ones I would always recommend, because it's got, like I say, it is a comic book film, but it feels quite fantasy as well. It's got a feeling of like, I don't know if you recall this, the old Tom Cruise film Legend with Tim Curry in as well. It's got some people always look at it as like I'm strange when I mention it.
Nope.
Tom Cruise as a pixie, but
and Tim Curry as the devil. It absolutely scares the shit out of Anthony. And the bass Dave Grohl on that look for Tenacious D.
Yes, the Pick of Destiny, Dave Grohl.
Looks good.
Cool.
Are you ready to move on?
Yep. So you're number 3 there.
Okay, so I'll follow on because the guy Doug Jones is actually in this film I did not know about. It is from 1995.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess? 95?
No.
Even if I told you the director is Rachel Talalay, and the comic book was written by Jamie Hewlett, would you know?
Nope. It's a Ghost World or something like that.
No, it's Tank Girl.
Ah, one of the best bad films I've ever seen.
If you are of my age group, Tank Girl was like the epitome of how you wanted it, like especially like girls who I knocked around with. This is what we aimed for to look like.
Ice-T as a fuck off kangaroo.
T-Saint. You played T-Saint, and you had Naomi Watts playing Jet Girl, and great Laurie Petty with them beautiful eyes, playing Tank Girl. It is one of the story is. It's not great. It's not great. But
it doesn't make any sense at all, but it is entertaining.
Not a lot, but it is entertainment. Visually, it's great. Tank Girl as a character is just so charismatic, and she's just does not give a shit. Like,
no.
I just generally loved it. And this one might be a short one to talk about because it has been a long time since I've watched this film, and it's been an even longer time since I've picked the Malcolm McDowell.
I think Malcolm McDowell was the bad guy in it, wasn't he?
Was it Malcolm McDowell?
Out of Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. but apparently, what's his face is in it? I'm forgetting his name already. Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. He was always played a kangaroo.
He probably did. Yeah, Malcolm McDowell played the bad guy, the guy who was hiding all the water.
Yeah.
But the set of it, like the look of it, is absolutely fantastic. Like
it's very Mad Max in look and feel as well.
Yeah, like the proper Mad Max, not that Fury fucking road
Yeah.
shit. But yes, it does. It's very apocalyptic. And again, colors.
Yeah.
A lot of vibrant colors in it. Her costumes are absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to think as well. Did she break the fourth wall, or am I making that up? Because
she used to, and she used to do a lot in the comics as well. But again, it's been a day since I've read them. And I don't believe it'd be something that I would pick back up now. Even I think I'm out of that, but it still has a lot of feeling for us, because it's hard to describe, because my friends.
No.
And my friends that I knocked around with weren't like that, but I do have other friends who did used to dress a bit more eccentric, and that was the look that they would go off.
She was big in the alternative scene, when the film came out. There was a lot of punks and emo people who had the pixie cut as well, from not from the film, but a lot of people used it. But again, not to pull the whole feminist thing, it was probably one of the first films I had a female not super female lead doing a comic book film. And again, at the time, when was it? 1995. So again, to me, that only feels like a few years ago, but it's nearly 20 years ago, which is scary.
I believe Iggy Pop's in it.
I can't remember his thing, but I remember Iggy Pop being in it. But I always remember Ice-T being a standout as a giant off kangaroo.
I just love the fact that he played it he's Ice Cube and he played T Saint, and I just love that. But it's just, it held a lot for us, which is why I added it on the list. But I knew there was not a lot that I would be able to talk about, because again, I've just not seen it for a long time.
No.
But
it might make you revisit it, though. That's things I don't think you'll be able to pick it up very easy these days.
I do have a few issues somewhere. They are in here somewhere, and it's just stuff that I got through the years.
I'm talking about the film. I don't think you'll be able to pick up a Blu-ray of.
I've got the DVD.
Yeah.
I've definitely got the DVD somewhere. I sold all my DVDs a couple of years ago. But I have a handful that you could not even get a price on, and she was one you couldn't get a price on. So she's still definitely in the garage somewhere.
And have a look at that, because that's one thing I haven't seen for a long time. Is Tanko. That would be interesting to hold. There's me starting to think about collecting again. But yeah.
What can I get next?
Yes.
So that's my number 3 slot. I couldn't not have this list and not have her on there, even if I can't talk about a lot. But I couldn't not. Right, your next one.
Yep. This one, I keep thinking it's a modern film, but when I look back, it's nearly 10 years old. It's not a character I've read. I know of the comics, I know of the character, but it's not one I've been interested in. So
I've got a feeling we've got the same one here. But go on.
I know there's a lot of people on the Facebook group. One of the lads, Michael, he absolutely adores this character to the point where he's got signed artwork from the artist who does him as well. Is the Carl Urban Dread, which was basically.
That's not what I was thinking you were going with. But wow, okay, yeah. Why did I not think it was going to be Dread? I thought it was something else.
But as an action film, it's intense. The story's very basic, but it's done to a degree where it's done well. You care about the characters in it, which is unusual for these things. And the main thing is he doesn't fucking take his helmet off, which Stallone did in the original.
He does not. But the best part about this, it sets up a universe.
Yes.
So you get to know the character. You don't need a story where it has a start and a middle and an end that have to be specific to wrap it all up in. kind of can leave it open a little bit, and I felt like they did that with that.
Yeah.
And I know the mama story was like that was like wrapped up in it, but there's more there's more.
Yeah, but she was just like a low level drug lord type thing.
She was fantastic.
Yes.
Lena Headey was amazing.
But she is the queen of the bitch. She is the queen of the bad guys. So she doesn't have to try too hard, I think, to think. But there's, like I said, I know, like I said, my big one, like going back to a recent film, one of my biggest pet peeves is a lot of slow motion used in films. Like I said, Justice League, Zack Snyder, for chance, like I said, it's nearly a 4-hour film. If you take out the slow motion, it'll probably be around the 3-hour mark.
I know, it was so pointless.
But yeah, like I said, don't get us wrong, I love that film, but that's so much better in the Josh Whedon one.
When it's used right, it's used right. Like when you and it was very much used right in this. It's not a film I've seen for a very long time, but when I remember watching it, I just blown away by it. And I never thought I would be, because I do really like the Stallone one.
Yeah. But there's elements of the Stallone one I liked, because like I say, if you like comic book films, it is the quintessential cheesy Stallone action film. It just, I don't think like if you're a Dredd connoisseur, I think that's where the fan base got a bit pissed off. But I know this film was used during the whole 3D craze, which swept cinemas after Avatar was released. So this film was made with all of the 3D tricks and everything involved. I think when it originally got released, it wasn't just called Dredd, it was called Dredd 3D.
My eyes can't even take on 2D. Like, I don't even know what it's going to be like trying to do 4D, but 3D was just a no-go at all. I just can't move that fast. Like, my eyes can't take everything in.
I think a lot of films try to cash in on it, and some films did it well. Well, I'll probably on one hand, I can name a handful that did it well. All the rest looked like cardboard board cutouts to stand in front of each other. But this, like Avatar and stuff, were standouts in the 3D and use it to the advantage rather than used it as an extra. But like I say, as a whole, the action in this, it's very much like, I think someone mentioned to us, and I went and watched it, and it felt a lot like it was, I believe it was called The Raid.
Oh, I've not heard of it.
It's like an Asian film where basically they're trying to get over a building, and just like all these action sequences are happening all the time. But it's like the whole premise where these two people are stuck in this building in the levels, and they're just trying to like
get out,
do the job, but get out as well.
Yeah.
Because Dredd was like, right, we need to get out, but we need to lay down the law. And
the law.
Yes, I could not say it without getting the word in. I am the law.
I am the law. Freaking Anthony would shout that in.
But yeah, like say, as a comic book film, I think that, like say, it ticks all the right boxes. And again, I watched it recently, and it doesn't feel like, I know I'm saying old, but like say it's nearly 10 years old, which is,
to look at it, it doesn't look.
No.
It doesn't look that way. It's not something. Again, it's not a one that I put on my list because it's not a book that I've read, and I feel like if I've read it, then I've got more of a connection to it. And the reason, like, you know, I watched Sin City, I picked the books up afterwards. Like, I have a bit of a connect. I went further with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of like I didn't with this, but it is.
I think with Dredd, what puts us off with reading the comics is there's so much history, and you don't know where to start with it.
Yeah.
And like, say you're talking. See, I know Batman's old and stuff like that, but they do their own individual stories. But I don't know how Dredd works. Is that just a continuity, like a continual story?
Well, it's like it's how I feel on Spawn.
Yeah.
You can't just jump into Spawn because there's years upon years of work in there that you need to go back on. But with Batman, it's individual stories that can have a bit of reference. And something that I do love when comic book writers do this, if there is a reference that's not within this book, they will tell you in a little box where to find that reference. So if you want to know more about what he's talking about here, plays no part, but it's just mentioned, you can find it there. And I do like that. They do it a lot in Batman because there is a lot of story to take in, but they're very careful not to go from one story to another where it drags it into it. It's its own individual like plot. But yeah, Dread's never been one that I want to pick up. But the film was great. Really good. Really
cool.
fun. Really fun. Right. Okay. This is the one that I thought you were gonna say.
Right, okay.
It's from 2010.
Okay.
The comic book writer. Now, I don't have them in comic books form. I have them in book form, like an actual book that has never ever been opened since my 30th birthday when Anth brought them home. I used to have them in comic book form, and I couldn't tell you where they went to. But Anth bought them in a collectible series for us. It's got Pilgrim versus the World.
So this is the one I left off because I guaranteed you would pick this one.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely I know we'll talk about the top 5, but this one is my favourite.
it had to go in there for me. It is like there's so many references in my life that still like come from there, like vegan power. Like Ant says it to us all the time when I like double check stuff, and he's like, "Don't worry, you'll not lose your vegan power if you do something in there that's not vegan." And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. The higher power will know. Look what they did. Look what they did to Brandon Roth.
Brandon Roth, yeah. Superman was in it as a big.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, Superman.
She is
Captain
phenomenal.
America.
Yes, Chris Evans is in it, and he's so fucking fantastic. Did you watch the reunion where they read the script out?
No, I didn't. When it comes to them reunion shows, there's not many. I've looked for because I don't really. Can't get into them as much because it's like I like watching the films and stuff, and fair enough, like say it's the backstory and stuff like that, but I'd rather just say make a sequel and I'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
but I don't think they could make a sequel.
No, well they could because there's loads of Scott Pilgrim stories, but the at least I think there is. It's been a while, mind. It has been, and the collection I've got is still in its original wrapping. Yeah, I've never taken it out. But they did a sit down, like a table reading, and I think it was only like the end of last year, and they just read. I think, and the only person who wasn't there was Kieran Culkin. Couldn't make it.
Right.
But everybody else was there and they all read their parts, and it was so good. And Chris Evans was still able to do the eyebrow raise.
I had the biggest crush on Ramona Flowers as well. Like I say, when I first saw that film.
Mary Elizabeth Weinstein is Ramona Flowers. She is so good. I did not even recognize it in Death Proof, which is one of my favorite Tarantino films. I didn't even recognize that it was Ramona Flowers. But she's so good in it. The cast is brilliant. Like you've got Jason Schwartzman, Audrey Plaza, who just plays Audrey Plaza. There's no difference in that character to April in Parks and Rec. Brandon Roth and Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick's in it. Brie Larson's in it. Kieran Culkin. Bill Hader is in it. Apparently, as a voice. I've just got the cast list up here.
I still think Anna Kendrick should be Squirrel Girl if they ever do cast Squirrel Girl in the film in the Marvel universe.
That'd be cool. But the obviously the guy who plays the main part, Michael Cera, is just phenomenal as Scott Pilgrim. Some of the lines that come out of there is brilliant. Like
he's like the ultimate douche, but you can't help but like him.
I lesbian you too. I love it. And some of the his dialogue is fantastic. He pulls it off. Like Michael Cera doesn't have. At the time, he was very typecast as the same person. Like you could take that character and the character from Superbad, and there's kind of not much difference. But it works with Scott. Like that, how he is works. It's just. He's just
took them a long time to release this film as well, because I remember years before it was actually released, hearing stuff about it and seeing images and stuff. But I think it took a while for it to be released as well. But it hits on every aspect. Like, I know we're doing nerdy up north, but every like nerd aspect in the film, like I say, it's very computer based. Like, if you like computer games, it's got so many computer game references. It's got like I say, superhero references. It's like saying very music based as well. There's a lot of I still like some of the musics in it.
The song that what's Brie Larson's character called again?
Hello again.
That's it. Envy Adams, friend of a friend. Yeah. I do love that song. The computer game aspect to it though, where you like Scott Pilgrim leveled up. I just love it. I absolutely love it. There's just not one bit of that film that is boring.
No.
That it doesn't have a laugh in it. And there is an alternative ending. There was 2 endings. There was the one where he lets her go at the end. Like, he goes through all of that just to let her go.
Yeah, I think it was released on the Blu-ray edition that came out. That there was, you can either watch either ending, but I wanted him to get with Winona. Like I said, I had a soft spot for Scott there. Like I say, I was glad he did, even though he was addicted to knives.
Yeah, but that's it. He walks away in the other one. He walks away with knives, but in the theater release, he walks into the sunset with Ramona, which is what we all want. Because why would you go through all the 7 deadly X's to not walk away with that? Like, it didn't make any sense. I did absolutely love the girl who played Roxy Richer.
Yeah,
one of our crazy exes who she's just this fireball of rage, and I just love her.
That's one of the films as well. Like, I've always said, even though I love the film, like I say, it's one of my all-time favorite films to watch. Like, it's like.
How did you know I would have it on here?
Yeah, I'll always, like, if I'm having a shit day, or I think I'll put Scott Pilgrim, I'll put The Breakfast Club on, Lost Boys, stuff like that. We'll always like fill a hole where.
Hold on, The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club's amazing.
I love The Breakfast Club. I never thought you would love The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club's amazing.
It just, me and Ant went through a phase of when we were leaving the house, just go.
The Breakfast Club, like I say, it is a quintessential 80s film that was done perfect. Like I said, there's no bad parts in it.
There's not. It's fantastic.
But yes.
I just never thought it would be one of your favorites.
Yeah. Like I said, I do believe as well, even though the film's amazing, it would make a better TV show.
Yeah, because you could split it up into, you could make the fights with the Deadly X's a bit more in depth. Like, the longest one I believe was with Chris Evans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that was the longest fight sequence, but that was brilliant. I mean, the arrogance of him and the cockiness of him, and he was just brilliant. Like, there was another one that nearly made the list, but I've only recently, in the last not very long, realized that it was a graphic novel first.
Mm-hmm.
With Snowpiercer. I nearly put that on there.
I've never seen it.
It's so fucking good. The concept of it is brilliant. It's so.
Is that the Jennifer Connelly one?
Yes, I heard. But they've done a TV series with Daveed Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Jennifer Connelly one? That's the Jennifer Connelly one.
Right.
The TV series is with Jennifer Connelly and Daveed Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
The film is Chris Evans and Kate Blanchett, who you will not recognize. She looks like Margaret Thatcher. Like,
not really a good thing.
So unrecognizable, but fantastic. The film is phenomenal. But me and Ant watched it on a copy, and the ending was ruined because we needed the subtitles to find out what was happening at the end, and we never found out. We had to go back and watch it again. But it's so good. It nearly made the list because Chris Evans has been in a lot of comic book films that even are not Marvel related.
It's good to see he's not being typecast though.
But he is absolutely brilliant in Scott Pilgrim. I love this film. You can't not get sad when you're watching it at all. You cannot. So
now this would have, actually, by hands down, it would have been on my list every day of the week. But I would have put money on that you would have, because this element is everything that, when I think about you love. So Only if
That
it was
is
like a
true.
Star Wars based comic, that could have been.
Do you know what? I was delving into some of my because my back catalogue of comics is all underneath this bed, and I started having the look, thinking, can I get Star Wars in there? No, you cannot. Not with the collection that I have, anyway.
Bless you.
So, is this your last one?
It's
Your
my last pick. Now, my last pick is a bit controversial.
For what reason?
I love this film. I think it's brilliant. Not many people do like it, and a lot of people tell us it's shit, but I still think it's great. It's so far away from the comics, and I love the comics as well. A lot of people have got angry because they totally changed every aspect of what made the comics brilliant.
I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, they pretty much did what they do.
The penny's just dropped.
They made it American. Constantine.
No, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Now, I've always been a fan of John Constantine, the Hellblazers, like I say, their most recent run.
What the fuck is wrong with me? Yeah, I thought you were going to say Watchmen, and then it wasn't until you said made it American, and I'm like, hold on a minute. No, that can't be right. And no, and Constantine, wow.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's not on my list. I've not seen it.
Really?
No, I won't watch it.
Oh.
John Constantine is very special to me, like
yes.
incredibly. The Hellblazers are some of the best work that's ever been. Yeah, absolutely. And I can't bring. I love Keanu, but I cannot bring. He's not Constantine.
No,
he will never be.
Like
John Constantine.
As I said, he's very American, but I still think it's done well. They brought in the elements that I loved about Constantine, the jadedness. Fair enough, he wasn't a wisecracker. He was very deadpan, as Keanu is. But the whole cast having, like I say, Tilda Swinton as Gabriel was absolutely fucking brilliant. She knocked it out of the park.
She is phenomenal. That
Raquel Weisz, like I say, I can watch her just standing there doing now. She's beautiful.
I could watch her paint a wall, man. She is stunning.
And even though he was such a small part, but Peter Stormare, like I say, I think we had a discussion on the group who was your favourite portrayal of Lucifer in TV or film, and he won hands down by most people, even though he's only in the film for about 5 minutes. He's just sinister, smarmy, horrible, snake-like. Even Shia LaBeouf, who normally I cannot stand, he's actually not irritating in it.
Shia LaBeouf's in it?
Yep, he plays Constantine's little lackey.
Oh, good God.
But again,
I do own it. I do actually own it because I have a Constantine collection, and I had to be. You can not have the film, but I've never watched it. To me, the best adaptation, how they got it so fucking right, was Matt Ryan when he played.
Yes,
oh my good God! I was part of a massive campaign to get him back on. Just finish the fucking series. And then let somebody else take him on. I love the fact that Matt's been allowed to play John in
the cartoon and in DC Legends of Tomorrow.
That's the one I was thinking of. But me and Anth love the animated DC films. We look forward to them more than I will ever look forward to a DC film coming out. They are part of our yearly watch list. They did the Dark Justice League? I don't know the full title of it. And when I found out that Matt was playing Constantine, I was like, fuck yes.
Have you heard the recast in the new one? In the new film?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Because they're bringing out the Justice League Dark, because they're casting Zatanna, and they're bringing in, it's supposed to be Constantine's being cast, but they haven't announced it, but it's not going to be Matt Ryan.
Oh, why? They had such a good thing.
It's J.J. Abrams doing it.
Oh, I thought you meant the voice. I was going to say,
no, J.J. Abrams is doing, like say, because he's got that deal with Warner Brothers now, where he's getting to pick and choose properties he wants to do. He wants to do the Justice League Dark.
He is just so special to us. I just can't bring myself to, because Keanu just won't be him.
No.
And I'm not basing it on Matt Ryan. I have an idea in my head of how John is.
Yeah.
And every time I jump into I will jump into Hellblazer at least once a year. And that's not even the look. He doesn't even have the look.
But like I say, as you know, both of us are huge horror fans. This is, like I say, comic book horror. Again, it's a bit cheesy at times. The guy who plays Balthazar, Gavin Rosendale, he just oozes cheese. He's like say
Because
he's
he's
off-put.
a dick.
Yeah.
Can't abide him.
But
I love the name Balthazar. I love seeing it. Balthazar.
But like say, all elements of how they've done Hell, like say that all the different aspects, like the psychics and stuff, and the demons actually looked a bit, even though they were heavily CGI, they looked a bit sinister and stuff.
You got to get it, especially when you're doing
I would
demons.
always recommend it again. I would probably recommend it to people who don't read comics to watch it, because everyone who reads comics is always familiar with.
They're never going to agree with.
And he's not a Liverpool, and in this, he's not a Liverpoolian wide boy. Where no, he's kind of like a sullied, pissed off, down and out American who can't smile or, like I say, he's still in the mode of Bill and Ted, shall we say?
And just, when it comes to Johnny, he's just the arrogance of him is. You can't play that deadpan. You can't do it. You just can't. John is arrogant because he is that fucking good at what he does. There's a reason for it.
Because 9 times out of 10 he is right, but even though he does make the odd mistake, shall we say?
Wow, yeah. I mean, the opening is the whole incident in Newcastle, which I loved, by the way. The fact that it happened in Newcastle, I was good. You get in. Had to happen where I live, near where I live.
Yeah, it's like I say that's sort of. But going back to one of the ones that you thought was going to be Watchmen.
I did think it was going to be Watchmen.
Would have got on the list because I loved Watchmen, but when the TV show came out, that film.
You can't put that on that list. Then.
Yeah, it doesn't compare because that TV show is still one of the best TV shows I've ever seen.
Totally agree with you. It's not one I put on mine, even though I've read it, I've owned it. It's the same reason, because the TV show just fucking blew it out the water. I generally don't mind the film. I love the look of it.
Yeah.
I think they did some class casting with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a comedian.
100%.
He looks how he is in the pages. And yeah, they changed the ending, and I get it. It's not, but. Is it the end of the world? Really? Was it really that terrible?
No.
I didn't think so. But the TV series.
Yeah. The only thing about Watchmen that I think still won't ever be beaten is the title scene. That is the best title scene with Bob Dylan playing. That has never been touched or even close to being touched. To how perfect that was.
I get chills when I watch that. It was just brilliant. But the TV series was just better. Way better. It was some of the best telly I saw last year. It was fantastic.
And again, similar reasons I didn't pick V for Vendetta as well, because the comic is just is so much better than the actual film.
I've started the comic so many times. I've never fully finished it, but I will always remember, because Alan Moore used to, I don't know, he wrote in the first panels before the story kicks in of England in 1983 when he was writing it. And where it all comes from, when Margaret Thatcher was thinking of creating concentration camps for the gay people.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the government and the mindset of where he is at writing it. So you understand his mindset, you understand where V for Vendetta comes from.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it helped, it just elevated what I was reading, but it is something that I quite easily dropped off from. Another one of his from Hell. I only have the book because it's Carolyn's and I haven't given her it back yet. But I didn't put it on because I've never finished the book. So I didn't add, and I do generally like the film because I love the concept of it. I love the theories that there was this doctor who was Jack the Ripper. I generally like that. It's not a perfect film, but I did enjoy it. Right, you ready for my last one?
Oh well then.
If I Don't Cry, I'll Shock Myself. It's from 2001. It's one of, if not, I'm actually shocked I haven't put this in one of my top lists for my favourite film, but I had a feeling that it would come into place somewhere along the way, and this is the perfect setting for it. You've already said the name of it. It is Ghost World.
Right, okay. I thought this would have been up yours because, like I say, it's very... niche, like say, not niche in a bad way, where not many people would know of it as a comic book film. I think because it doesn't feel like a comic book film when you watch it.
It doesn't, and it's like the comic book is incredibly special to us. The story is very different. The film is actually I don't want to say I prefer it, but I do prefer that side of Edith than I did in the comic book. Thora Birch just plays her brilliantly. My whole look from when I was younger was based on her. Like the only thing I never got, and I'm still to this day looking for, is the Raptor t-shirt.
Right.
She wears a blue t-shirt with the Raptor, and it has Raptor written on the front of it. And I've found replicas, but they don't look the same as how she had it.
Yeah.
You've got a very young Scarlett Johansson in it.
Yeah, I was just going to say it was Scarlett, one of Scarlett's first roles as well, wasn't it?
She plays Rebecca.
Doesn't look anything like she does now.
She is so. The pair of them together, though, their friendship is just so sarcastic. It just reminds us so much of me and Carolyn.
Like, you know what it reminds us of a cartoon as well, Daria.
Yes, a lot, very much like that. But the relationship between Rebecca and Edith is very much similar to how me and Carolyn are. There's no bullshit there. Like we say what's on our mind. We don't pussyfoot around stuff. Steve Buscemi is Seymour is just. I just cry every time I see him on the screen because he's so pathetic to almost being like you feel sorry for him because of how pathetic he actually is. And there is a character in there, and the guy who plays Josh, who the actor actually sadly passed away. He is the kid from that Susan Sarandon film. What's it called? Oh, I only watched it recently.
Stepmothers, so is it? Or?
No, it's a court drama film. It's Brad. I'll get the thingy up. He passed away, but he was a child actor, and he's what's it called? The opening sequence to Ghost World, by the way, is the best, where she's watching a Bollywood film, and there's a dance sequence on it, and she's doing her interpretation of the dance sequence, and it's just fantastic. And I cannot not dance when that comes up. Hang on, I've got him here. Brad Renfro, he plays Josh, who was a big part, like he's part of their little clique, but not really, because they quite easily are happy to boot him out. The Client.
All right, yes.
Yeah, he was in The Client, but sadly passed away in 2008. Drugs. Oh, heroin.
Oh well.
That's deep. That's dark. Also, if any Red Hot Chili Pepper fans, the guy who I don't know how to describe him, but he's in a Red Hot Chili Pepper video. He's got a denim jacket. No, he's got no top on, denim shorts on, kind of a mullet hairstyle. He came from Ghost World. Like his character is from Ghost World, and he's only in it for 2 minutes, but it's an absolute scene stealer. It's so funny. But this film is just so special to us. It's so sad, but so beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
And I really do not want to cry over it.
Gotcha. I think I've only ever watched it the once, and it was so many years ago. Like I say, it probably didn't resonate to me back then because I didn't have many reference points for it. It kind of, like I say, it didn't leave a. Actually, I know different films, different people, but to me, it never left us with a lasting memory. The only reason I remember most of it is because, like, say, it came out that there was actually a comic related. I was like, oh, if you're going to put like a comic book film, that would never be a comic book film that you would say that's on it. But no, like say, I do know of it. I do know it, but it's not a film that I say I went back to and revisited. I might do it, like I say, just because when it's been older now, I might.
It's been a few years since I watched it. Like it was something that I could watch all the time, like literally every day. I could sit and put that on and just find new ways to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Like there's one scene where they're sitting in the diner and two old people are there, and she's absolutely convinced they're Satanists. And it's just a thought reasoning behind, like, just how our brain works.
Yeah.
She's so adventurous, yet she's so scared at the same time. Like, she dyes her hair bright green, and all because she got called out for it by one person, she goes and changes it. Like, she's so, we're so alike. It's fucking terrifying sometimes. Like, I'm all about shock factor. I've done it since I was 16-year-old. Like, I've constantly do things, it's for shock.
Yeah.
But if someone called us out on it, I'd reel it in.
Yeah.
And we're so similar in that way. And there's one regret with Ghost World I wish I've got, and just for collectible purposes, I found a version of the comic in France, and it was beautiful. Like, the artwork, and it was absolutely stunning. Very different to the version, like the copy that I've got, because mine's just a generic graphic novel. Like, there's nothing special to it. But this was in a hard paperback, and it was just beautiful, and all because it was in French. I didn't buy it. And I wish I did. I found it in Paris, and I wish I picked it up. But Ghost World is my favorite, and the reason I never added it to my favorite film list is because I had a feeling it would come around at some point.
Planning ahead.
I'm always thinking, like, the horror one last week had us thinking, because I was like, oh well, if I put it on this list, I kind of put it on another one. Like, I didn't want to put The Crow on here because you've already had it on.
Yeah.
So I was like,
that's one of the things, like, I didn't discuss, because I've been on like The Crow could have been easy as one of them, but with The Crow, I loved the film, but the comic I didn't love. I kind of liked, if that makes sense. So
I think I had a copy of City of Angels.
Yeah.
I think I had a copy of that, like, in my goth days, when The Crow was like, your Bible, really. Like, that's what you. It's the goth Bible. Watch The Crow.
Yeah, going back to what you said about Ghost World, about not realizing it was it's a comic book film, but you don't realize it's a comic book film. Similar, like I say, I only found out a year or so after watching Road to Perdition was a comic book film as well.
No, I did not know that. I've literally just said that to Anne. I was like, I did not know that was a comic book film. Like, I saw a few on the list, like, people were pointing out. Like, I didn't, I think that was the one. I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like a short story. I think it was like just like a graphic novel rather than like a series. But yeah, Road to Perdition was a comic.
But I don't think I saw Ghost World on the list. I don't think I saw anyone pick Ghost World on the list on the Facebook group. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything.
You're all wrong. You need to pick this.
No, like, I'm not going to add my thoughts into it, because then I give away what I'm doing here. Like, what's the point? But I was just shocked, because, like, a lot of people in that group are around my age, and I just assume it's just like everyone knows about it. Yeah. But it's not really a highly talked about film.
That's why I said it was niche. I don't think it's like where niche, where people go up and say, "Oh, I know this, you don't." It's very of its time. Like, see, I think Ghost World, again, I think similar to what I said before, it was bigger in America than it was in the UK. Because when you think about it, in the UK, comics wise, we've come out in leaps and bounds, but comics in the UK have only really started taking off over the last 20, 30 years, maybe.
Yeah, I think Alan Moore is very responsible for comic books in the UK. I did a whole article on Alan Moore, and you have to, when you're writing about someone like that, you've got to go right the way back to the beginning. And he did a lot. I'm not going to say he's the start of Marvel publication in the UK, but we did have one in the 80s. I'm not even sure when it came out, but he was a writer for them. It's just that's where I was getting to. And I actually have a Marvel. I'm just trying to think where it is. I have a Marvel UK release of an X-Men book that was released in July 1983. My oldest friend in the world got me it for my 30th birthday.
Right.
It is newspaper form, so it's not That shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all newspaper. And it was a Marvel, and that's how our comics came out.
Yeah,
because
so it used to be on the back of the papers where you see
but this is all like
or Garfield and stuff like that.
I need to get around to getting it framed. I don't want it to get damaged because it is very delicate. It's just a newspaper. It's no different than picking the bloody Daily Mail up or something. But it was released in July 1983. Just told everyone my age there. But it's but our comics were nothing in comparison to America, which is again, this is like, that's why I wanted to do the whole promotion of shops, because America does do the nerd style of life better than us, always have done, like you can't deny it. But we do have little treasure troves out there. So
as well, like I say, because I know it's strange, like where like the working class couldn't, like up in the north as well, where it's kind of like pubs, beer, going to football matches and stuff. Like I say, that's always been like what we're renowned for. But we do have, like I say, quite a growing, like I say, community. I know Newcastle's probably is ahead of us a little bit, like I say, than Sunderland, where they've got
but I think that'll always be the
comic
case
book shops and stuff like that.
Yeah,
again, this is in Darlington, Middlesbrough now. It's about time Sunderland start catching up and catering for these type of elements.
Because we're here. There is people who will buy, and this is why I just think anyone in the area, go and support the likes of Geek Retreat. Like, we need it, because if you don't support it, then
sadly I'll not come back.
Exactly, it fades away. But we're still here, kind of thing. Like, so you need to, and I should be.
And what do we need? More betting shops in the northeast as well. Where gives a break.
More takeaways. Like, how
another Greggs.
Another Greggs. Like, Subway is starting to become the new Greggs. There's one on every fucking corner. But yeah, that's my list.
Cool.
My top 5.
I'm surprised we didn't have more of the similar ones. That was the thing that was quite good. I wanted to do. I had to have rules, because it could have been easy for us to just go, well, I like the X-Men films. Yeah.
Because it's Marvel. And I would have gotten away with it because everyone knows how much I love Marvel. But I wanted to really think about it. And I thought to myself, you're going to put them down because they are your favorites, but I have to admit that I haven't seen them in a few years. So to talk about them might have been a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I think one of the ones that was on my top 5 quite early on, but I struggled to remember it. Like I say, I was going to rewatch it, but I thought I probably wouldn't be able to do it justice. Was Superman 2 with General Zod and
it's one of my dad's favorite films.
Yeah,
absolutely loves it because of General Zod.
Like I say that was my childhood, watching that every day. Like I say, with me dad as well. Like, as I said before, after seeing it, you believed a man could fly. Like, even though I like Superman 2 was always a better film, but that was one of the ones that had been slipping in and out, but I don't think I would have been able to talk about it that much, because it's probably been about 15, 20 years since I watched it.
Yeah, with these lists, I have to be very honest with myself, and you can't just put stuff down just because it's cool. Do you know what I mean? So I
wouldn't be putting Constantine on if that was the case.
That's true. That is true. Constantine didn't even cross my mind, and basically because I just will not watch it at all. But yeah, there you go. That's our top 5 comic book movies that are not in the MCU.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any comments, if you disagree, thinking like I say, we talk shite, or if we made any mistakes,
let us know. And remember, we're on the Facebook community group page. It's over 1,000 now. This is also going out on YouTube, so if you can remember to like, share, and subscribe, and to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. Leave a iTunes, and again, Spotify is not my thing, but iTunes, we're found more if you leave reviews and put a 5-star like on there, so that would be great. And I think that's it.
Yeah, we've also got an Instagram page that's grown as well. So it's just called Nerdy Up North. It's just me sharing random shit that I like. So
I got a bit jealous of the Instagram page the other day. I've been on Instagram since 2012. I've built up I think, a modest a modest following of 1,700, and then fucking Nerdy Up North comes up in 2 seconds and is almost at my number. I was like, my God, what have I been doing wrong? Nobody wants to see me cats anymore.
Posting pictures of Erie, Indiana. Everyone loves it. That's why.
People are sick of seeing me cats.
Bless you. But yeah, like I said, again, thank you so much for following us. Thank you very much for your feedback. Hope you enjoy it. And like I say, any questions, like I say, there's an email address, like I say, paul@nerdyupnorth.co.uk. You can find us pretty much anywhere just by searching Nerdy Up North. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks very much, guys. Until next time.
Yep, same bat time, same bat channel.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.